In the last 4 months, I've had 6 trucks towed into this shop with engines completely destroyed. Not from bad luck, from problems that gave zero warning before they happened. No check engine light, no smoke. One day the truck was running fine. The next day it wasn't. One of those 6 belonged to a guy named Curtis. He was 3 months away from making his final truck payment. 3 months. His engine seized on the highway doing 65 miles an hour. He got towed straight to my shop, walked in, and put a loan statement on my counter without saying a word. $41,000 still owed on a truck that would never run. Again. He looked at me and said, "It's only 4 years old. How is this possible?" Because Curtis did everything right. He changed his oil on time. He didn't off-road it. He never ignored a single warning light, and his engine still failed him with no warning at all. Every single time I sit an owner down and explain what actually happened, I get the same reaction. Why didn't anyone tell me this? And here's the answer, and it's going to make you angry. Nobody told you because nobody profits from you knowing. The dealership makes money when your engine fails. Everybody in that chain benefits from you finding out too late. So today I'm giving you the list mechanics only talk about in the back office, never on the showroom floor. 7 trucks that are quietly destroying people's savings before they ever hit 100,000 miles. 1. Do not click away, because what I'm about to show you could save you tens of thousands of dollars. Here's exactly what's coming, so you know what to watch for. Number 1. The truck that spent 20 years earning a reputation it hasn't earned back yet. Number 2. The engine GM's own dealer network was reportedly told to stop selling. Number 3. A fuel-saving feature quietly destroying valve trains for almost a decade. Evaluated. A missing part that can take your brakes without warning. Number 6. A brand new engine replacing a legend with electronics that can black out your own dashboard. And number 7. The deal that looks too good to pass up, and exactly why it's priced that low. Stick around for all 7, because at least one of these is going to change how you look at your next purchase. For almost 20 years, if a customer rolled a Toyota Tundra into my shop, I barely looked at it twice. Tundras were the truck you bought once and drove for 200. Mechanics loved them because they simply didn't break. That reputation was earned, one boring, reliable oil change at a time. Then Toyota redesigned the Tundra in 2022, and something shifted underneath that. My customer Danny traded in his old 2015 Tundra for a brand. He was proud of that truck, showed me pictures on his phone the day he picked it up, grinning like he'd bought a boat. 8 months later, he was back in my shop, except this time, he wasn't smiling. Camera and climate controls at the same time. Then came the letter in the mail. A recall notice referencing engine concerns that, in the worst cases, could lead to serious internal damage, well before the truck's mileage suggested it should. Danny sat in my waiting room, reading that letter 3 separate times. I bought the name, he told me. I didn't even think about whether the new one was actually good. That's the trap. Consumer Reports now ranks the redesigned Tundra as one of the least. The badge still says Toyota. The reputation riding on that badge was built by an older platform, with a different engine and a different engineering team entirely. You're not buying 20 years of history. You're buying a truck on the market for a fraction of that. Before you buy, pull the recall history with the VIN, not the sales rep's word, not just scheduled. GM's own dealer network was reportedly told to stop selling this engine. Let that sink in before I even tell you what it does. The 6. 2-liter V8 was supposed to be the crown jewel of the Silverado lineup. More horsepower, more prestige, the engine you paid extra for. That's exactly why my customer Miguel, a contractor running a small excavation crew, upgraded to it, he told me at the time. 14 months later, at just under 30,000 miles, his truck started, making a metallic knock under load. Just enough to make him pull over on a 2-lane highway and sit there with his hazards on, wondering if he'd just watched $60,000 turn into scrap metal. He towed it to me himself in his own tow truck because he couldn't afford anyone else. "I need you to tell me this is something small," he said. I couldn't look at him right away. What we found matched something quietly spreading through service departments nationwide, enough that dealers were reportedly instructed to stop selling affected trucks entirely. Anything was wrong. That's not a repair bill, that's a second mortgage, representing a third of what the whole truck cost. Miguel's exact words, sitting there with his coffee going cold. I paid. That's the part that still bothers me. Before you buy, ask in writing whether that VIN was ever flagged. Same truck family, different engine, and this problem has been sitting in plain sight for nearly a decade. The active fuel management system on the 5. Shut down half the cylinders during light cruising, save fuel, everybody wins. Here's the problem nobody puts in the brochure. To deactivate those cylinders, specific lifters have to collapse flat under command from the engine computer, thousands of times a day. That constant collapsing wears the lifter roller and camshaft lobe in a way a normal V8 never experiences. My customer Ellis brought his Silverado in with a ticking noise he described as sounding like a sewing machine bolted under the hood. 61,000 miles, regular oil changes, nothing neglected. I've seen this failure pattern so many times, it's almost predictable now. Collapsed lifters, multiple ones, metal debris already circulating through the oil galleries. For on a truck he'd owned barely 3 years. GM has known about lifter failures tied to this fuel-saving system for a long time before doing much about it. Ellis didn't do anything wrong. Its own engine from the inside for years. Before you buy, start the engine cold before it's driven that day and listen for the first 15 seconds. A faint tapping that fades as oil pressure builds is often an early sign of lifter wear. Real quick, before number 4, out of the first 3 trucks, which one surprised you the most? The Tundra losing its crown after 20 years of trust? Or the lifter problem that's been happening for nearly a decade? Drop the number in the comments. 1, 2, or 3. I rate every comment on this channel, and your answers tell me what to dig into next. If a lot of you didn't know about the Silverado lifter issue, I'll build a full dedicated video on spotting it before you buy. Now let's keep going. Because number 4 is the truck everybody assumed. Ford marketed this truck as the future. Best of both worlds, full V6 power when you need it, electric, efficiency when you don't. Could make. My customer Renata bought one specifically because she wanted the responsible choice. Weekends. She loved that truck for the first year, told me it felt like driving something from 10 years in the future. Then the dashboard lit up on a Sunday morning with warnings she'd never seen. Something related to the hybrid battery refusing to communicate with. The truck didn't strand her, but it dropped into reduced power right as she merged onto the highway with the trailer behind her. The truck just gave up mid-sentence, she told me. The strangest part wasn't the fear, it was the silence right after. No chime that made sense, just dashboard messages she couldn't read while fighting to keep the trailer straight. Here's the reality behind that moment. The PowerBoost system is a gas engine, an electric motor, and a battery pack handing power back and forth through a control module that has to get every handoff exactly right. The wrong moment for power to disappear with a loaded trailer behind you. Any truck Consumer Reports has evaluated. Dealer-only tools, and a repair bill that erases whatever you thought you were saving at the pump. Renata's line summed it up better than I could. I bought this to save money on gas. I don't think I've saved anything. Just a generic inspection. I need you to hear this next one all the way through, because it's not a slow, expensive failure that builds over years. This one can happen in a single second. A do not drive alert was issued for certain 2025 Super Duty, sudden and total loss of brake, assist with little to no warning to the driver. Sudden and total loss of brake assist. On an $80,000 to $120,000 work truck, a truck that hauls trailers, hauls equipment, hauls people, here's what that spring actually does because it matters. The brake booster spring holds tension that multiplies the force of your foot on the pedal into real stopping power at the wheels. Without it, in the worst documented cases, you're left with almost no power assist, meaning the pedal can feel firm right up until the moment you need serious stopping force on a downhill grade. And my customer Doug, a fleet manager for a small construction company, came to me pale-faced after reading the notice about his own trucks. One of his drivers, a 19-year-old kid named Trent, who'd only had his commercial license for 4 months, had been driving one of the affected trucks for 2 weeks, hauling a loaded trailer down a mountain grade every morning. Happened, and I didn't even know. It's not always about money. Sometimes it's about a truck that could genuinely hurt somebody, and the owner has no idea there's a problem until a letter shows up. Or worse, until the pedal goes soft on a downhill grade with zero warning at all. Call the manufacturer with the VIN and confirm the brake booster remedy shows. Completed, not pending. They took the legendary Hemi V8, an engine with a cult following, retired it, and replaced it with a brand new 3. New engine, new electronics architecture, new problems. Nobody had years of real world. My customer Walt, a retired veteran, came in absolutely furious, not scared, while driving. No speed, no fuel level, no warnings, nothing. Doing 60 on a state highway with his grandson in the back seat. He pulled onto the shoulder, hands shaking before trusting himself to check on his grandson in the mirror. His grandson, 7, asked why the truck went to sleep. Walt didn't have an answer. He drove the rest of the way home at 25 miles an hour with his flashers on, terrified to trust a truck he'd trusted. Consumer Reports now ranks the Ram 1500 among the least reliable full-size, to the instrument panel, failing to display critical information while driving. Losing your speedometer and warning lights isn't a software hiccup you shrug and off. It's losing your ability to know what your truck is doing underneath. Walt's lied to me, and I still think about this one. I retired a whole career trusting machines with my life. I didn't expect my truck to be the thing that scared me. Before you buy, ask how many software updates have already hit that VIN and confirm the instrument cluster recall was completed. This last one is a little different because it's not a truck people get tricked into buying new anymore. It's a truck people get tricked into buying used at what looks like an incredible deal. My customer Cole, 23 years old, came to me a few months under market value. You could actually throw gear in the bed of. He drove it straight from the seller's driveway to my shop for what he called just a peace of mind checkup, still grinning ear to ear, in my waiting room. Smile faded pretty fast watching my face change while I scrolled. The 2020 and 2021 Gladiators each carry around 7 separate recalls alongside. And if his particular truck had the eco-diesel V6 option, he'd have been driving one of the most problematic engines Jeep has ever put into production, plagued by fuel system and turbocharger issues that showed up. His truck thankfully didn't have the diesel, but it did have 2 of those open recalls never addressed by the previous owner. Minutes earlier and said quietly, "There's a reason it was cheap, huh?" Yeah, there almost always is. A deep discount on a used truck isn't luck. It's information the seller has and you don't, priced into the number before you ever showed up to look at it. Before you buy, never treat an unusually low price as a win. Treat it as a question. Run the VIN through the manufacturer's own recall lookup and confirm every "let's bring it together quickly." The Tundra, trading on a reputation the new platform hasn't earned yet. The 6.2 Silverado and engine dealers were reportedly told to pull off the lot. The 5.3, quietly wearing down its own lifters for a few extra. The PowerBoost hybrid, the worst predicted reliability rating on record. The Ram's new engine and electronics, still working out problems on customers' trucks. And the Gladiator, a bargain price that was never really a bargain. 7 trucks. 7 different ways a good-looking purchase can quietly become the worst decision. In your driveway, every truck we talked about today has a real name attached to it in my memory. Real people, real paychecks, real trust, placed in a machine that let them down. And in more than one case, a machine manufacturer's already had warning signs about before it ever left the lot. I'm not telling you their stories to scare you for the sake of it. I'm telling you because every one of these situations was avoidable if someone had just told them what to look for before they signed. That's the whole reason this channel exists. Not to sell you anything, just to tell you the truth about what's happening underneath the hood before it becomes your problem, instead of mine. Before you sign anything on a new truck or used, check your financial stake in the sale, and personally verify every open campaign has actually been closed, not just scheduled. Don't let something that looks incredible in the driveway quietly drain everything you worked years to build. If this video just saved you from a mistake or made you think twice about a truck you already own, do me one favor, hit subscribe. It's free, takes a second, and it means the next time something like this is quietly spreading through dealerships, you'll hear about it from me before it ever reaches your driveway. Next week, we're going even deeper into the engine's mechanics like me. Genuinely dread seeing come through the door. Take care of your truck, ask the hard questions before you buy, and I'll see you in the next one. Not from accidents. No strange noise. That question is the reason I'm making this video. They go quiet, and then they ask me the exact same thing, Curtis asked. The manufacturer makes money selling you the replacement parts. If you're driving one of these right now or thinking about buying, Number 4, the responsible truck holding the worst predicted reliability score ever. Number 5, this one genuinely worries me, and 50,000 miles without drama. Owners kept them until the wheels practically fell off from old age. Not failure. Badge, new 2023 model. His infotainment screen had frozen twice on the highway, killing his backup. Reliable full-size trucks currently sold in America. Time, wearing its predecessor's resume. Confirm the infotainment and engine recalls on that specific VN are completed. Any hesitation from the seller is your answer. I need something that won't let me down on a job site. He set his keys on the counter harder than he needed to. Reports of defective crankshafts and connecting rods in this exact engine. Serious. Thousands of already sold units, Miguel's included, kept driving around with zero idea. When this engine fails outside of warranty, owners face repair estimates between $15,000 and $20,000, extra for the good engine, under the crankshaft-related stop sale, and whether the remedy was completed before resale. 3-liter V8 was designed with good intentions. We pulled the valve covers and found exactly what I expected, because repair bill for Ellis. Once we flushed the contamination out of the whole lubrication system, landed just under $5,000 he never budgeted. He bought a truck with a fuel economy feature that's been quietly eating. The 6.2 engine GM's own dealers were reportedly told to stop selling. Almost nobody talking about it was the smart, responsible choice. On the commercials, it looked like the smartest purchase a truck buyer, better gas mileage, still enough capability to haul her horse trailer on. The transmission. When that communication glitches, the truck protects itself by cutting power exactly. The F-150 PowerBoost hybrid currently holds the worst predicted reliability rating of, when something breaks in that handoff, you're looking at specialized diagnostic time. Before you buy, ask specifically for the hybrid battery health report, not a declining score is often the earliest warning sign, months before any dashboard alert. Trucks after inspectors discovered missing brake booster springs, a defect that can cause, read that phrase again slowly, simply isn't there. Doug's exact words to me. I keep thinking about what could have. That's the part of this job that never gets easier. Before you buy, never take the seller's word on this one. Ram made one of the biggest bets in truck history. 0-liter twin-turbo inline-six called the Hurricane. Dr. Onyet, furious, because his brand-new Ram's instrument cluster had gone completely dark. Completely 10 minutes earlier. Trucks sold. Partly due to ongoing electronics issues, including a recall tied. You at highway speed. A high update count usually means real problems are still being patched. Argo thrilled about the used 2021 Gladiator he'd just found for thousands. He'd wanted one of these since it first came out, a Wrangler. I pulled the VIN and started going through the history, and Cole's hundreds of documented owner complaints, far earlier than expected. Cole looked at that price he'd been so excited about. A few open campaign shows completed with paperwork. Miles per gallon. The Super Duty, a missing part that can take your stopping power without warning. Curtis Miguel Ellis Renata Doug Walt Cole. Recall history yourself. Get a genuine pre-purchase inspection from someone with no A truck is one of the biggest purchases most people will ever